Right, it's finally got to the stage where I can think about installing the door. I've got this wooden, it's solid wood, this door. I've never actually fitted a solid wood door before. I've fitted, you know, the ones with cavities in, which can be a bit awkward because you're always worried that you're going to shave too much off and hit one of the cavities. But as I say, this is a solid wood door, so it should be quite forgiving, really. So I'm going to put 3 4-inch hinges on it. The first one will be 9 inches up from the bottom. The top one will be 6 inches down from the top, and the middle one will just be bang in the middle. And these are the hinges that I've got. They're just, as I say, 4-inch chrome plated hinges. So as I say, I've got 3 4-inch hinges which I'm going to attach. I'm going to do it the old fashioned way, just with a chisel. I'm going to chisel the recesses into the door and also chisel them into the door frame and hang it that way. Right, I've got a little bit of a problem with my door frame. Originally, when I started building the cabin, I didn't give a huge amount of thought to the door. I just measured it and you know, bought a door to fit. However, I think I probably should have bought an actual door frame rather than, obviously this is just a piece of the 3x2 from the frame of the building, and then, you know, it's got the cladding on each side. What that means is, if I was to attach the hinge onto this bit of 3x2 like that, at that point, then the door would only open 90 degrees and then it would hit this piece of tongue and groove. So it's not ideal, but what I'm going to do is, I've started fillering and I'm just going to filler down the tongue in the tongue and groove, and then when I attach the hinge I'll be able to put it right to the edge like that. And as I say, it's not ideal, but 2 of the screws, that one and that one, will both be into the solid piece of 3x2, and then the other 2 screws are just going to be kind of, yeah, they're not ideal in terms of the location they're going into, but I think it's going to be the best bet. It's a little bit of a botch, but I'm just going to go with it, and hopefully it'll be strong enough to support the door. I'm a little bit concerned because the door is pretty heavy. It's I think it said on it was 29 kilos, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've started cutting out the recesses for the hinges on the door, so that's the one at the top. I've done the one at the bottom, and I'm just starting the one in the middle. So the way I'm doing it is, I've put the hinge on and drawn round it, and then I've cut the on the inside of the pencil line with a Stanley knife, just a really sharp knife, gone round it with the chisel just to make it a bit more, you know, just chiseled all the way around. And then I'm now just starting to chisel from one end, so I've just chiseled a few centimetres up and moved down, chisel a few more, again and again, and then once I've chiseled all the way down, I'll chisel across that way just to take it off. Right, I've finished chiselling out the hinge recesses in the door, so there's 3 of them, and they're all ready for the hinges to be attached now. The door's all ready to be hung now. I've got the hinges all attached, and I held the door up against the door frame and marked on where the hinges needed to go to, just to keep the door a few millimetres above the ground. And then I've just chiseled these out. They're a bit rough, but yeah, I think they're okay. As I say, this is the tongue and groove on this side with the filler, but I think, you know, there's enough of this solid piece here that the hinges will get, you know, they'll take okay. So that's the door on. Pretty happy with how the hinges are looking. And I'm just going to have to plane a bit off along this side in the middle there. As you can see, there's probably enough space up at the top, and you can see daylight down at the bottom. But the section in the middle, just around here, I'm just going to plane to allow the door to close properly. And this is the hinges from the inside. Probably could have done to use silver screws rather than gold ones, but it did actually come with, the hinges came with silver screws, but when I tried to screw them into the door they snapped off. And because the hinges have got these pins in, I can just knock the pins out to take the door off, which means I don't have to start unscrewing any of my screws, because I'll need to take the door off to plane it down and also to attach the handle. And then I'll have to, obviously I've left these boards, which is the external tongue and groove, because I wasn't sure exactly how high the door was going to go. So yeah, just to give you an idea, that's what I mean by the boards at the top. I just left them lower down because I wasn't sure where the top of the door was going to be, but I can just trim them. I decided rather than planing the door, I would plane the door frame, so I've just been up and shaved maybe 2 or 3 millimeters off that section of door frame using the electric planer, and that's just allowed the door to swing closed now. So, as I say, it might have been a good idea if I'd bought a ready-made door frame, but as it is, I'm putting these pine strips round just to give the door something to close against. So I've left a few mil around the edge, which will have a draft excluding strip on. And I'm also going to put like a fascia on the front as well. I'm just starting building the surround for the door frame. I've got the top piece in and I'm mitering the corners. I'm using slightly thicker timber than I was intending, but I think it'll just look a bit more substantial around the door because the door's quite big, so I just need to cut the pieces for the 2 sides and put them in. That went pretty well. I don't always find it that easy to get a really good mitre joint, so I'm pretty happy with them. They're close enough. Might just put a little bit of filler in just to neaten them up even more. I've fillered the screw heads down on the baton on the bottom here, so I just need to sand that off as well before everything gets painted. So really pleased to get that door frame in, to be honest, because I was a bit concerned that I'd made a mistake by not buying a ready-made door frame. I thought I was going to struggle to make it, to get a neat finish, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. Now the door's in, I've been able to finish up the section just above the door. Obviously I couldn't do that previously because I wasn't sure where the door was going to finish. So that'll just need painting, and then there'll be a trim going along the full length of the top there. And the next job is going to be to put the door handle and locking mechanism on. I've bought a 2.5 inch 5-lever sash lock for the door. I'm just trying to get my head around the instructions. It looks like you get templates which you need to cut out and then just mark on the door where you need to drill the holes and chisel out in between the holes. So we'll have a go at that. I've got the template up on the door and I've sighted it so that the handle will end up halfway equally between these 2 points. And they're quite good, these templates. It's just a case of marking the holes, so I've just used the Bradall to do that. And the same on this side. So I've drilled 5 18mm holes as per the instructions in the front of the door there. Another 18mm hole there and 2 10mm holes here. As I say, I use spade bits for these ones. I actually bought a new spade bit just because it's quite a lot of it's quite hard wood and it's quite a lot of holes to be drilling, so I wanted to make sure I had a sharp bit. They're only a couple of quid anyway. These ones I think had to go in 71mm, so I just used a marker on the drill bit just to make sure, I only wanted to drill in as far as the tape there. So I need to chisel out between these holes now and between these 2 holes. The locking mechanism will go in here, spindle for the handle will go in there, and that'll be where the key goes in to lock the door. So I don't really want to chisel the door while it's still hanging, so I'm going to take it off, and that'll be really easy to do because it's got the pins on the hinges which I showed you earlier, so it'll just be a case of taking the pins out and the door will come straight off. I wanted to drill the holes while the door was still on though, just because it's easier to get to make sure you're going straight, because it's quite important with them being quite big holes. you know, if you're going off at an angle, you might go through the side of your door. That's the recess chiselled out for the locking mechanism. As I say, I took the door off just because I was knocking it about a bit. So I just need to chisel out between these two screw holes as well, which will be where the key goes. That's the door fully prepped now, and I just need to put the locking mechanism in. I've got the locking mechanism in now, and I've got the door back on its hinges. So I'm just checking everything fits. The spindle fits in okay, the key works okay. And this spindle's just the right length, so I don't have to cut it down, and I can just put the handles on now. So now the handle's on, the last job is just going to be to fit this piece on the door frame. So again, I've got a template for that, and it's just a case of drilling a few holes and chiselling it out. I've masking taped the template in position and marked all the holes with a bradawl, and I'm going to drill these ones out now with a 22mm spade bit to a depth of 25mm as per the instructions. So that's the latch in place, and the door closes nicely now, and that's that finished. So the next job is going to be the windows, so please feel free to subscribe and join me to see how I go about doing them.